Hi, I'm Watch Me War Song of Pos Party. This series is geared towards new players looking for new player friendly corporations. I'm a big believer that a good corporation is the best head start you can give a new capsuleer. With that being said, I also wanted to give a platform for smaller corporations to show what they have to offer with a nice added personal touch. All right, and today I have Bob 7K with me. Bob, let people know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Bob 7K, current CEO of Space Ants. We're in the Alliance Slice. Currently live around Declan and Fade, but you know, with low sec, null sec, that's subject to change.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
Space Ants, are you do you have a specifically strong time zone, like a US, Australian, or an EU?
we're currently pretty strong, well, quite wide U.S. Time zone focus. We got some Europeans, and we usually catch them at the beginning or the end of our time zone. But it seems like our whole alliance is uh, in that zone as well.
Okay. And what does Space Ants want to accomplish in Eve?
Besides global domination, um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Uh, Mostly relationships, though. They always come in handy, especially around here. People come, people go, and as long as it's on good terms, that's all good fun. But yeah, it's just a nice place that you can come in after work, log in, do some stuff, either fleets or print some money. That that's all good.
So, global domination and making friends along the way.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, with Space Ants in particular, do you guys have a long-term and a short-term goal?
Um, I want to sit to you, but them things are expensive, at least for me. But no, not particularly. Maybe that's not a good thing, but I mean, most of our members we log in for the camaraderie, and the more people we get, the better relationships we build up, all the better.
So I guess then probably a long-term goal would be just kind of creating a friendly place for people to hang out.
Yes, very very tolerant of newbie mistakes. And I've even seen some of our members that struggle to anchor on the FC, much to his annoyance, wind up flying carriers or fax machines and fleets, and really start to shine after just a few months.
Okay. And do you guys have any requirements to joining Space Ants?
Just a clean employment history, not getting kicked from your previous corps for theft or AWOXing, but I mean, it'd be for everybody.
Yeah.
But no, really, just being able to accept loss, because being down here in nullsec, it's going to happen, um, and being able to get yourself back up. They say don't undock what you can't afford to lose, and that goes for both ISK and um, oh, what do they call that?
Spaceships?
No, not spaceships, but being able to mentally lose like a billion S worth of
Be able to
ships.
handle the loss.
Yes, because if you can't handle that, um, or if it's not something like a resistance or a tolerance you want to build up, um, because that's going to happen in nullsec. You're going to lose an orca. You're going to lose your carrier. Um, you can be very, very good against it or mentally prepared for it. And yeah,
Okay. Now, Bob, how does Space Ants handle new recruits? Do you guys have any programs, skill plans you guys do for them? One-on-one mentoring, anything like that?
it depends on what interests them. But for the most part, we run fleets out of lowsec, which gets them into how fleets are designed to work. Even though I'm not a great FC, but anchoring, orbiting, keeping at range, primarying targets, pre-locking targets, running logistics, stuff like that. I mean, it's all complicated. When you're doing it in low sec and small, cheap ships where the risk of screwing up isn't that high, it really prepares you for some of the large, like 200 man fleets down in nullsec with 90% tie dye titans and carriers all over the place.
All that fun stuff.
Yeah, it really pushes you into the deep end without the real risk of drowning.
Okay, so with that, does Space Ants look for players with a specific playstyle in mind? Are you guys looking for PvP focused players or people who just kind of want to do industry, things like that?
Well, we're looking for people that do PvP. Um, I mean, it's kind of a requirement. If you don't have any interest in it, there's really not much in nullsec, at least the lifestyle that we live down here. I mean, some people do renting; they don't have to worry about that, but they have to pay a tithe to the king, so to say. But for that expense, they don't have to really defend anything. Uh, but then they're at risk of having people come and kick down their door, or kick over their sandcastle, so to say, in an attempt to get at their lords, the landlords. So if PvP remotely interests you, and you don't know whether or not it's something you want to do full time or in a major way, um, come down, try it out for a little bit, see if it interests you, and I mean, who knows? That may be something that you focus on, whereas previously you're focused on mining or running missions down in high sec. Because I mean, we keep things pretty safe, relatively, down in nullsec. You know, as soon as somebody comes in system, whether or not they're there for to blow you up, or if they're just passing through.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, I remember someone saying to me, with nullsec, you pay for your freedom in basically blood or ISK, and that goes to what you were saying as if you're going to be a renter, you're going to pay with ISK, and if you're going to be in a PvP alliance, you're going to be paying with your blood essentially. Um,
Yes.
so going forward from that, why should a player join Space Ants over any other corp?
Well, as I said before, I mean, we understand that people that are coming down here may have only been playing the game for less than a month, barely know how to handle things, and we get them set up for that. On top of that, nullsec has like you said, blood or risk, and the reason that we can afford to pay for blood is that the money opportunities down in nullsec are so great. The citadels are even better. Like the bonuses that they get are double, and only equivalent to that of structures and wormholes. So if you do industry, the rigs that we throw on these citadels are much better time efficiency. Like we had a Sotiu that I used to run my blueprints in that had I think an 85% reduction to material and time efficiency, and that's great. It doesn't really help me do any combat, but the same lays true with marketing. If you ship materials up, you can sell them at a premium. I mean, obviously, if you gouge them, somebody who has a jump trader can easily knock your prices down by quite a significant margin. But we can afford to lose our ships because well, the money's good out here.
Okay. Now, what drew you to Space Ants in the beginning? Because I noticed you're not the original CEO. So, what made you want to join?
Um, I had come back after many years of hiatus. I used to actually legitimately have nightmares getting ganked and accidentally having my autopilot wander me into low sec and getting ganked. So combat was a pretty terrifying thought. I would, I mean, all I did in high sec was mine all day. I didn't even have a barge. I think I was using uh, ospreys back when that was a thing.
Mm.
And I came back and I was in high sec again. And I joined a corporation, and they were there, but they were focused on other things rather than their members. It seemed like a holding court for this one guy. Very quiet, really no learning opportunities. The money was all right, but I mean when you think about losing 50 million ISK as a major setback, it really you really get hesitant about engaging in any PvP or even defending some of your assets, like your mobile depots or your mobile tracker units. People will come in, shoot them, expecting you to engage, knowing full well that they have the power to take you out. Um, and it's kind of helpless. And I got fed up with the corporation I was in, not really doing anything, not even hopping on comms just to shoot the shit. Um, So I decided that I got what, less than a month left on my subscription. Nullsec is about, the scariest thing I could commit myself to. I hadn't given much thought to wormholes though, and I don't remember how I met the CEO, but I got an invitation to come aboard, and I lost my most valuable ship getting there, just getting to Losec, or getting through Losec, and I got there, and I was surprised that they were able to throw frigates, which I thought were kind of expensive. I certainly wouldn't be suiciding them in fleets. Yeah, oh, here, just take a Mollis and just join the fleet, do what he says. And it was a little hands off at the time. We hadn't really developed our training tactics. So for a little bit, I was kind of just there, but I really wasn't spending all that much. But I was able to afford to buy my own ships rather than use the donated ships from just spending a few minutes in the asteroid belts. And after like the first major fight where I was seeing thousands of people on grid, I was like, well, this is a hell of a lot better than HiSec. Not only is the money better, but there's always somebody to chat with. You had the theory crafters who are always building crazy outlandish ships. You had the tacticians who are talking about battles, engagements, and how they affect the overall war and the history of other alliances. Just sitting there in a belt, printing money, learning about all these other aspects of the game that in HiSec don't matter. You never think about them. They never really impact you. You just have to worry about war deckers and getting your ore to Cheetah.
Okay. Now, moving on from that, you talked about the previous corporation before Space Ants didn't really have that culture. Now, what does Space Ants have in terms of culture?
Oh man, we got people who go out and do. Well, I mean, everybody's doing kind of their own thing, except for specific events that will hold, like moon mining or the Losec roams, or even like the Alliance or the Coalition roams that may be going on. Um, Sometimes people will group together. They'll go do exploration/hunting simultaneously, and we're all in the same channel. We're all talking about different things. Sometimes it's about how their day at work is going. Um, I mean, it may seem a little bit boring, but it's like uh, camaraderie, I guess.
Yeah, just having that friend you can just kind of log on to every day and have a chat with while you're doing your specific niche.
And I don't mean to make it sound like we're all just talking about how was work today. It's sometimes it's a like somebody prototypes crazy fit, or they were in this battle and this was going on. It's still mostly Eve related, and just listening to everybody talk and have what they say, what they have to say, can teach you a lot about mechanics and how everything clicks. And without even buying any electronic warfare ships, in the back of your mind, this goes there, this does that, this is the range that you can expect, this is the kind of tank you can get out of that, just because some guy bought a Griffin and started throwing parts onto it and taking it out to gate camps to see what it can do.
Okay, so kind of just learning passively just from kind of hearing what other people are doing. Now, Space Ants, how many players? I know that we could probably just go on Zcode and see how many members you have now, but how many active players do you have in the corporation, would you say?
That log in every day, about somewhere between 15, 17. um, the TeamSpeak numbers aren't as high as I'd like them to be, but some people don't have mics. Everybody speaks English, thankfully. Um, but yeah, I'd say about six or 10 people. But once you start getting higher than that, it's hard to hold a conversation with anybody because everybody's talking about their own thing, and you want to drag the conversation over here, and you
Yeah.
can't get a word in edgewise. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the sweet spot right now.
Okay. So now with that, how many people have do you have in Space Ants that are more experienced players as opposed to brand new, just made an Eve account?
Just made an Eve account. Like about 5 or 6. They, I guess, graduate rather quickly. Uh, like I said, we had that one guy that had been in the corp for like about 2 months, um, and really didn't understand um, how fleet chat or not fleet chat, but fleet comms etiquette goes. Don't speak over the FC and all that stuff. Just stuff that doesn't really get said, but needs to be known.
Hmm.
And he went from making those mistakes, almost getting primaried by the FC a couple of times, to um, he went and did some exploration, got some income going, started buying skill injectors, and now he's got a carrier. And it's
Nice.
it's been about 2, maybe 3 months. He came into Space Ants after about a month of playing around in ISAC. Um, Experienced people, I mean, the number just keeps getting higher, but it's mostly like homegrown. Occasionally, we'll get somebody who their corporation has either left the alliance or their leadership has collapsed, and all of their members not having any like camaraderie or just spreading all off in random directions. And we don't seek them out, mostly due to alliance politics on poaching sometimes. And they wind up in Space Ants, or they come from low sec or even high sec, and we get Rorqual pilots, jump freighter pilots, stuff like that.
Okay. So that is actually all the questions I really have here for you. Is there anything you kind of just want to leave the listener on, what they can kind of look forward to in Eve, and how they can find Space Ants?
Um, well, we have a. If you look up Space Ants in game, um, in the bio for the corporation, you'll find a link to our. Uh, we have a public chat room for both Space Ants and friends of Space Ants. Like I said, we make friends. They go everywhere. Got Space Ants all over the place. Ex Space Ants, friends of Space Ants who've never been in Space Ants, and they all come to this channel. Um, and it's kind of like our own little. I'd say private if it wasn't public. Just go in there, find either Bob, Kenzie, Lacanau, just anybody in Space Ants really. Give them a poke or drop an application.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day with me today to kind of talk about your corporation and what you really have to offer a new player getting into the game. All right. Well, thank you so much for that.
Oh yeah, no worries. And yeah, good luck.
Yep. Fly safe.